I'm just like in this, I'm inspired just to go out and be like gathering content and seeing, where it takes me. My idea for that show has already evolved in the 4 days that I've, been working on it. So to your point, getting out there, gathering content, seeing what I'm comfortable with and like how it evolves into a final product. And I think
Yeah.
having the right equipment allows you to do that.
Welcome to Unplugged, the tech podcast for digital entrepreneurs. I am one of your hosts, Brooke, the founder of the Sober Biz Collective.
Hey, podcasters. My name's Nate Kelly, best-selling author and founder of Podcast Revolution Studios. If you're looking for tech, tools, and tips on how to utilize podcasting for your business, you're in the right spot. Let's get unplugged.
Technology today just makes it so possible to go and explore and try new things. And there's there's no huge investment needed anymore, right? Like you need your cell phone and a microphone and that's it. You can get started.
The Rode Wireless Go.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what I'm probably going to use. I've been, of course, researching, which is like another side of things where I'm like, oh, I could put together like mobile kits for people that are interested in doing the same thing, or even just vloggers or content creators. So I've been like elbow deep in YouTube University for vlogging and best wireless mics and all that stuff the past 2 days, which is exciting. I love that side of things.
Have you looked? Okay, so I love my wireless Rode. I'm finding I'm not using it nearly as much as I thought I would.
Yeah, I wondered about that.
It's a bit of a like it plugs into your phone in the bottom, and so it's hanging. So I'm looking at getting like a cage for my phone so that I can connect all the wires and everything and the clip to it. So for my phone, I'm not using it as much. It's really great with my camera because it just sits right on the top there. So I don't have this like receiver dangling, just doing nothing.
Buy your a dongle receiver.
Yeah. So I'm looking at getting an accessories kind of grip for my phone so that I can put a microphone on there and a light even and stuff, so I can do more stuff on the go as well. I think, I think that'd be so much fun. I did look into a couple of different mics. I'm not going to purchase another one at this time because I'm still paying off that purchase. But the DJI.
That's what I'm looking at. The DJI
has been,
yes, it's everywhere.
A lot of people are loving it. And apparently it's way more ready to go when it comes to using it on your cell phone or.
Yes, the connectivity is kind of seamless. The Bluetooth being able to attach to different devices. It has, I'm pretty sure the Rode does too, an internal recorder. So each transmitter is like internally recording. So you have kind of that backup as well, even if you are connected to your phone, which I thought. But yeah, I've been watching all of these Rode Wireless Go versus DJI. And honestly, DJI has been coming out on top for a lot of these tech influencers that are, pitting one against the other. So I think that might be the route that I go.
I think you should, and then we can compare because we'll have both of them. I might also invest in that purchase someday. Like literally I had it in my Amazon cart and I was ready to go with it. And then they didn't have any. It was out of stock because Canada. And and so I didn't end up purchasing it. And then Rode sent me this beautiful brand new system for free.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, now I just love you. I love you so much. I'm going to buy your microphones, obviously.
Yeah, there's a bit more versatility. I will say you mentioned kind of the rig holder for, a light or a microphone. Small rig makes a really great kind of box in different sizes and with different attachments. So check out the small rig before you make a purchase.
I will check that out.
I'm just like I'm inspired just to go out and be like gathering content and seeing, where it takes me. My idea for that show has already evolved in the 4 days that I've, been working on it. So to your point, getting out there, gathering content, seeing what I'm comfortable with and like how it evolves into a final product. And I think
Yeah.
having the right equipment allows you to do that. And that's one thing I went back and forth on is creating this like kit of more traditional podcasting equipment with like the recorder and the wired mics with, XLR cords where I know that I'll get that kind of tried and true podcast sound, but I would
Mhm.
be limited in mobility and activities, or going for the wireless system where the quality's still great.
Yeah.
You might have some cutouts here and there, some peaking, but it just affords you so many more opportunities to go out and explore the world, damn it,
Yeah.
and get some, inspiration from
Yeah.
the world around you.
Well, it allows you to be more spontaneous too, because you don't have to
That's
plan
right.
all this stuff you need to bring with you, and do you have enough batteries? And you know what I mean? Like
Right.
you can just have it with you on the go. I have the Rode wireless Go 2 in my purse, so if at any time exciting things are happening and I want to pull it out and go for it, I do need to get that stick thing that I can attach it to
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
just feel more authoritative when I'm holding something with a handle rather
Right.
than a tiny little square.
Yeah. I
And
thought about that too because depending on who you're talking to, they may not like understand the whole, you know, plosives and where to hold your mic. And
yeah,
that's like a whole different conversation that may kill the mood. So anything that kind of puts it where it should be, or even if you're holding it for them to kind of secure that audio quality, I think, you know, you don't want to be thinking about that the whole time you're talking to them.
yes, yeah. And what I did find with the Rode Wireless Go 2 is having it clipped on, I don't get as good of an audio of a sound as I do when I have it kind of held out just in front of me and a little bit lower. Um,
Right.
just because of where the mic is, you sound a little bit more muffled when you have it attached to your person. And I mean, that's any mic, right? But I also believe, especially if you're going to go out into the public and do this project that you're doing, like having equipment that looks professional and,
Yeah.
people see it and recognize as like, oh, this guy, he knows what he's doing. This is something, professional, right?
Yeah.
Um, might have people more inclined to talk to you and feel comfortable opening up and stuff than just somebody with like
I
their
know.
their like,
Yeah.
headphones from Apple. They just
It's something like duct taped to my phone.
yeah.
Um, I will have good looking equipment for sure. We had an exciting episode launch today with Matthew Passy. He's been like in each kind of sector of podcasting or, has had experience with different roles and different companies in different aspects of the industry. He's very knowledgeable. I really enjoyed our conversation. And he has a new project he's working on focused on tech. So we recorded an
Yeah.
episode of his new show with him. I actually saved some footage that was more tech and equipment specific. We, believe it or not, did spend some time color coordinating and focusing on our studio setup and kind of making them look similar, which I think we did a great job on, but we use very different equipment. Brooke, you mentioned now actually using your phone for your camera, but I know you use your MacBook as
Mhm.
well. Do you want to start things off? Kind of run down your studio setup?
Sure, yeah. So I just, started using my phone based on the recommendations from that our podcast guest and really, really love it. Just the versatility of being able to, like, move it around and stuff I find very helpful and change the height and everything, and I don't have to worry about, moving my whole computer. I had a iMac that I was using when we first got started, and, so it was just, like, the all-in-one iMac, and that camera on there was amazing. Then I started using my MacBook because I sold my iMac. I am using the Shure MV7 and love it, love it, love it, love it. It is my favorite microphone. I actually looked at using the model up from this MB, I think MB7, is that right?
Yeah, it's
Oh
kinda
my gosh. I got
longer.
all my yeah.
Yeah,
The one Joe Rogan uses and
yes,
all the fancy
yes.
podcasters, like, that was the one I wanted to get, but when you get those, you also need, like, an amplifier as well because they come out extremely quiet, so there was, like, all these extra accessories I was gonna need to get, and the gentleman at Long McQuaid, which is my favorite music shop out here in BC, and I don't know if they have them in the States, but it's a
I don't
fantastic
think
music
so.
store. They've been a big reason why I've been able to, try out these things that I want to get as well because I can actually rent them from them as well. So I could try out some microphones before I decide to buy it. When I was doing wedding videography, I could rent out the H4N Zoom series H4N. We talked about that a bit on the last podcast, so that I could get awesome recording from the bride and groom when they're doing their vows and from the speeches. And then we've got our Rodecaster Pro 2.
The
Uh,
workhorse, the Rodecaster.
I love it, and there's a couple of settings that are very different from the first version, which is the one we had before they replaced it for us. And we're still getting to figure those minor things out. I've had to unplug from there doing podcasting because I was getting some feedback. There's a couple of settings that need to get changed. So I think one of these episodes, after I've figured out exactly all the things you need to know about the Rodecaster 2,
Yes,
we should kind of dive into it just so people
yes.
can save the headache that we're going through,
I agree, yeah.
making sure we know how to use it.
Do you find sometimes it's overwhelming? Like, do you just sometimes just plug your mic into the computer and say, "Screw it"? Like, is it a lot of stuff?
Yeah. Lately,
Yeah,
I've definitely been doing that. Just it's so much easier just to plug into the computer. And thank God with this microphone, they have that option. Like I can go XLR, I can plug it right into my computer. And it's really, really easy. I was able to do that like 5 minutes into recording with our last guest.
yeah.
I made that switch. It happened very quick and seamlessly. So one of the things the Rodecaster 2 or Rodecaster in general was really great for is I used to do shows on Clubhouse and
What happened to
on Instagram. We
Clubhouse? Is it still, like
I don't know.
are there still groups and meetings and stuff? I don't know. Kinda
I have
disappeared.
no idea.
It was, like, the hottest
Yeah,
in,
I
like,
think
2020,
it
2021.
was. Yeah, it came in hot and fizzled.
Yeah, maybe it was just that era when everyone was at home and looking for
Yeah.
company.
Yeah, I think so. I think it definitely served a purpose. I think I don't know. I guess TikTok kind of just took over
Yeah, sure
and
did.
became the new place and everybody headed over there because you could get so much traction. But I had some pretty cool times on Clubhouse. We did some sober comedy shows and I ended up we talked about this. The Gold Digger podcast is like a podcast I absolutely love. Jenna Kutcher has
Yeah.
been a huge business like inspiration to me. And I got to meet her on Clubhouse and actually have a conversation with her through Clubhouse
No
because,
way.
you had to get invited on and it was
Right.
very exclusive. And so you could actually talk to people, like
How
there
fun.
was a smaller community on there. So yeah, so she was doing a talk and I actually got a chance to like ask her questions and stuff. And it was just like super, super cool. And anyway, so the Rodecaster allowed me to record those conversations. At first, when Clubhouse came out, they didn't have the opportunity. And it also allowed me to have really good sound when
Yes.
I was doing Clubhouses, right? And Instagram lives, I couldn't do with my phone for whatever reason. You can't plug your phone into the Rodecaster and have this as a microphone through there, but you can do it with your iPad. So for Instagram lives, I would use my iPad and then I
Mm.
could have a microphone. And we did a show with Elise from the Sober Curator. It was called a Sober Scoop, and we'd eat ice cream and talk about like sober pop
Oh,
culture.
that's like a
It was so
dream.
fun. I can record right into the board, which has really helped me when I'm doing things that aren't in my studio. I'll like go to my friend's house to do our Nice Girls Club podcast sometimes. And I record right into the board and then I can sync the audio with our video. and I don't have to like have
Nice.
everything hooked up through my computer. So it's awesome. I love it. But I think as I get more and more into my creative journey, like I'm kind of becoming more minimalistic and I want the easiest, fastest way to set up so there's
Yes.
less time and barriers and I can just get right into it and focus on the creativity.
Same. Exactly. I feel the exact same way. That's why, with this new project, just decided on the wireless package. I think to your point, it does create barriers to inspiration and content. So I love that. You mentioned renting stuff, and I actually saw this video of a YouTube tech creator who's partnering with this website called borrowedlenses.com, where you
Mm.
can rent any piece of equipment imaginable: content creation, podcasting, videography, lighting, anything under the sun. And they create like these bundles for you. So it's like a mobile podcasting bundle, like kind of these things that we've talked about, different budgets and different packages. Say you're even if you're a wedding photographer and you need like a wedding package, you can create your own package or pick from one of their preset bundles at borrowedlenses.com. So even if you're like wanting to test something out before you buy it, or wanted to do your own Rode Wireless Go versus DJI Mic 2, before you purchase it, it looks really cool. I think that I might do that before I purchase my next piece of equipment. So it's borrowedlenses.com. I'll put it in the show notes today, of course. But I just thought that's so smart. I love that.
Yeah, I love it. I can't even tell you how much money I wasted like just
I don't even want to think
buying.
about it. Yeah. As I was looking for
Yeah.
things for this wireless project, I was like, oh, I had that, but I sold it. Had that, but I sold it. Had that, but I sold it. Like I could have had everything already. Um,
Yeah.
but it didn't serve me at the time after I purchased it. But yeah, this whoever's behind borrowedlenses.com, gold mine.
You know, that is one thing I'll say about technology in general, podcasting tech. Like if you invest in good quality equipment, you will it is an investment and you will be able to get a return on that when you sell it. Like it's not you're going to lose some money, but when you sell a high quality microphone, you can get a lot of your money back. It's not when you don't really invest in your stuff, it's harder to get anything back when you decide to move on or upgrade or whatever. But I like my Mac I just sold it. I think I lost $500 on it from when I bought it in 2021. So I had it for 3.5 years and I sold it for $500 less than I bought it for,
Heck yeah. It's a good
you
sale.
know?
Well, my current setup, I am actually using a 4K webcam called the OBSBot 4K. It's, not your typical webcam. I would say it has software that comes with it that you can download. You can adjust your temperature of the video and your white balance and your exposure. So, if you're matching somebody's video, or even if, you're a videographer, like video techie, or, if the exposure matters, or if you're trying to get this like dim feel to your videos, it definitely has options, than your typical
Mhm.
Lenovo webcam or your integrated webcam in your PC. It's a little pricier, of course, but I think definitely worth it. You wouldn't necessarily know, I think, that I'm recording on a webcam. So if you're looking for, a cheaper version than like a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, but kind of elevated, definitely something to look into. Of course, all of our equipment will be linked in our show notes today. Um, I the mic that I'm currently using is the Rode Pod Mic USB. They actually not just, maybe a year ago, upgraded the original Pod Mic, which was huge because now it has the USB option as well. And Brooke, to your point, I think the SM7B, the big daddy that the big podcasters use, is XLR only. So another advantage of the version that you have, and an advantage of
Mhm.
the Rode Pod mic that I'm using here. I think for beginners, even for seasoned podcasters, having that capability to use both is so universal. It's I don't really recommend a mic that doesn't have both options, because you want to be able to transition and grow, and as you add equipment to your studio, not be held back by your microphone. So I really love
Mm.
both the mics that Brooke and I use, highly recommended. We also had a chance to pick Matthew Passey's brain about his equipment recommendations and go-to gear. Let's have a listen. Matthew, let's talk tech for a minute. I'm curious if we're recommending kind of a starter kit for a new podcaster, what would you recommend starting out with?
So if you are not sure, right, like Brooke, you were saying, you're not sure how you're going to do this and find your voice. If you're not sure that you can do this,
Mm.
start with your phone, right? Pull your phone out, open the voice recording app, hit record, and start talking. Because
Amen.
a lot of people think that they can do this, and then they realize once that recording light is on, you just freeze. Or maybe you record something with your friends and you're like, I hated this, right? That just, what am I thinking? I'm just going to go write or whatever it is that is, more productive for you. So first of all, like, start there. Don't invest in anything. Just pick up your phone, start talking, start making mistakes. As Chris Kremitzos, the organizer of Podfest, says, like, start ugly. Now, if you're beyond that phase and you're like, no, we are definitely doing a podcast, right? Either my company is saying we're doing this, or I've got the idea, I've, drawn on my artwork, everything like that. I would say keep it really simple, and either the Samsung Q2U or the ATR 2100, both of them are a handheld dynamic mic. They both got an XLR and a USB and a headphone jack in the back of the microphone. And what I love about this microphone is you plug the microphone into your computer, you plug a pair of earbuds. They can be $5 ones you get at a gas station, and you could podcast anywhere. I used to keep that 2100 in my laptop bag. And so if I was ever on the road and I had the opportunity to like do a cause pods, even if I was in a hotel room, I could pick up that microphone, put in my earphones, and I'm ready to go. I couldn't record with 4 people in a room necessarily, right? That's not going to sound good. But most podcasters today are working from home alone or in their office alone and connecting with someone over a remote platform, the Zoom, StreamYard, Riverside, whatever. So one of those 2 microphones, and honestly, I would say whichever one is on sale, because the price always fluctuates on
Yeah.
Amazon, you can get all in for about $70 and be good to go.
US dollar.
I'm obsessed with the Samsung
Yeah.
Q2U. Actually, it's my go-to. I recommend it to all my clients. It's like you can't beat it. I think it was $65 US when I checked yesterday. So great recommendation.
What I would definitely say is don't go for the overly hyped up pretty microphones, right? Don't immediately say, oh, I want to sound like, I want the mic that Joe Rogan uses. He sounds so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He's got, 10 people who are working that show, 5 people who probably spent hundreds of thousands of dollars designing that studio. He's not just plugging in a Shure SM7B directly to a Rodecaster, right? It's going through processing and compressors and all these different, right? Like, you don't have to do what everybody else is doing. Do what works for you. And it's very easy to have a functional studio for, if you want to do 4 people, $500. Very easy to do. If you want to spend $25,000, let me know. I'm happy to make recommendations, but you really shouldn't have to spend more than $1,000 for high quality audio. You are not going to sound like NPR. You're not going to sound like Michael Barbaro at the New York Times, but you will sound good enough for the audience listening to you to say, this is a quality product. I can take it seriously. They take it seriously. Like, it'll hold up to your brand.
I love that so much. We just started a podcast with me and my friends. We were applying for a grant right now, but I found 3 microphones for $45 off of Facebook Marketplace, and I'm using them, and, like, I have a nice mic as well, but those are working just fine. Like, for what we're doing, we're just having fun, we're laughing into it. It's doing a great job, and I can have 3 of them, so I can have multiple people, so I love that. Just, start where you can start, right? And get into it. What are you excited about in the tech space, the podcast tech space? Is there anything coming up that you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a game changer, or new equipment that you just are really got your eye on?
I mean, there's lots of equipment that I have my eye on, and part of the reason why I'm doing podcasting tech is I couldn't justify buying podcast equipment anymore after selling
So
the
true.
business, and I want to.
Yeah.
Uh, I think I think some of the stuff that Rode is doing, right? The Rodecaster Pro, which Brooke, I see you have on your desk there. I still have the original one on my desk. That Rodecaster Duo, I think, is a fantastic device. I'd love to get my hands on that.
Yes.
Nice portable way to go. Zoom is about to unveil a whole new line of their
Oh,
H series. So you've heard
Wow.
of the H4, H5, H6. Like
Yeah.
those are getting a huge refresh, and they look fantastic. I'm more excited about updates coming in the
mm,
video world. I think for high quality video, it's hard to do that on a budget. It is hard to get video that doesn't feel cheap without spending thousands and thousands of dollars.
So
And I think
true.
but I think we're coming up on a point soon where that's going to be possible. I think some of the folks who work in the video space, they see the demand out there, and I think some of that stuff is coming down the pike. Uh, that's my hope, and I also think more simplified setups are another thing that to look forward to. Without giving away too much, that's something that we're also focusing on. Is like, how do we make podcasting as easy as possible, but give you everything you need? So that's a place where I'd like to see things improve and get better.
Have you seen the Zoom recorder that has the camera attached to it?
I have. It's like a Zoom
It
Q8 or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, exactly. It
Yeah,
just looks I don't see it advertised or, like, the popularity as much as, like, the H series, but I'm curious if they're, upgrading that as well to kind of have an all-in-one option.
I think the problem, and I say problem very loosely because it's a fantastic device, but I think the issue that I was having with something like that is it's once you have one camera, you quickly want three cameras,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Like it's hard to do something highly successful in video with just one single
mhm.
shot because editing can be very tricky and look a little ridiculous. Um, and then, right, the idea of 4K, like a lot of places say, like, oh, 4K camera, but it's really only 4K with this one setting, and then the batteries last about 6 minutes.
Yep.
Uh, so I think I'd have to look a little bit more into this. I think this actually, the one that you're talking about right now, this might be a little bit newer than what I was thinking of. There was another Zoom camera they put out there that had some built-in XLR ports into it.
Yeah.
This looks like it's just a 4K camera, so this might even be a better option.
Oh,
I started my career in creating in a documentary filmmaking class, and then moved into wedding videography and stuff. So I'm obsessed with film. I love it so much. I have one kind of nice camera, but I've been working on that podcast right now. And it's like, I got the Canon RP because it's kind of a really entry level full frame camera. And I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money. But the autofocus is very finicky, and I find, like, one of us is always out of focus, so even if I try and, like, crop it and, like, shift faces, like, one of us is blurry. It's just the most frustrating. So, applying for the grant, it's like 90% of it is just video equipment, you know, to get, like, 3 cameras going.
Well, and then once you start on video, then you've also got to invest in lights, right? Like you can't just throw
Yeah.
video out there. Um, that being said, when it comes to video, if we talked about what's an entry level microphone, entry level camera. I was using a Logitech Brio for years. That's the 4K webcam USB. I would tout it all the time. And the other day, I was chatting with someone. He's like, yeah, for someone starting out, I'd say use your iPhone continuity camera. I was like, huh, like I'd heard of it, but I never really thought about it. I did it once, and now that's my camera, right? Until I go out there and invest in like a mirrorless DSLR camera or something like that. That's what I'm using today. I've just got my iPhone propped up here and using that as the input, and it's great. Partially, obviously the lenses are good, right? We're up to iPhone 400, so they keep improving everything. But also all the features in it to kind of auto focus, auto white balance, right, like all that stuff. If you don't know what you're doing, you can't do better. Brooke, what are you using?
For my camera, it's a MacBook Pro. Actually, it's just the built-in camera on it. Yeah, and I've got
Oh,
two
okay.
Elgato lights, which have changed the way my camera in my computer looks completely. So good lighting, very, very important if you're
Nice.
not investing in a high quality camera that's going to be good in low light.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important to have video content, and I think you can get away with cheaper video
Mhm.
these days. But once you start to invest, there's no cheap investment in video, right? Once you spend a few $100, you're spending a few $1,000 very easily.
Yeah, I'm about $1,000 in right now. Actually, that's not true. It's about 1,500.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for hanging out today. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube for all of our video content at Unplugged Tech Pod.
And join us in our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/unplugged podcast. Also, make sure to throw us a 5-star review if you are finding this content valuable for you and your digital business. We accept all forms of reviews: Apple Podcast, Spotify follows, YouTube, telling your grandmother about us.
And make sure to share the episode with one person in your life who may find it valuable. And we'll see you next time on Unplugged.
I think it's good enough, and we're just going to keep getting better.